Guys, I'm here for another SummerSlam review in my SummerSlam review series. I believe this is the 14th SummerSlam review. It is SummerSlam 2001, which took place August 19th, 2001 from the Compaq Center in San Jose, California. Oh boy. While I admit that this show is arguably the best in-ring SummerSlam's been, well, at least from what I know about 02 anyway. I don't like this show because I tend not to like most of the stuff involving the invasion angle. Because the invasion angle was just a bad angle. And I'll get into that with some of these things. So there's 8 matches on this card, so we get a 40 total. We have a maximum of 40 stars that can be given. And the opening contest, WWE Intercontinental Championship match, Lance Storm versus Edge. Good match here, 3.5 stars. Lots of good here. What you would expect from Storm and Edge. Finishing sequence involves Christian coming in and spears Edge. And then there's a good thing where Edge is going for that Impaler DDT. Storm keeps reversing and then he eventually gets it and covers Storm for the win. 3.5 stars. WWE gets back the Intercontinental Championship at storyline purpose. So there's an interview with Michael Cole backstage when he's on the Test and the Dudleys, where he basically asks Test why he turned on the WWF, and Test basically said because he got beat up for doing something he did not do, which is a very valid reason, you know. When they all thought he was the mole that wasn't the mole, and every superstar beat him up without any solid evidence. And that leads into our next match, the A.P.A. and Spike Dudley versus the Dudley Boyz and Test in a 6-man tag. 1.5 stars. In fact, other than one match, it's the worst match on here. It's 1.5 star tag match. There's a spot here where Spike goes for the Dudley dog and Test just throws him out through 2 convenient placed tables that the Dudleys set up earlier. Bradshaw hits his clothesline on Test, but Shane McMahon comes in and hits Bradshaw off a chair, which allows Test to score the pinfall and get the win, which evens the score. Alliance won and WWF won. So like I said, 1.5 stars. So then we get what is essentially a unification match, even though it's not billed as a unification match. As is a match for both the WWE Light Heavyweight Championship and the WCW Cruiserweight Championship match. And the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Tajiri versus X-Pac. This is a 2.5 star match. It's an okay match. The reason I say that this was not billed as a unification match, but here's essentially why it was. The Cruiserweight Championship after this would be the only championship that remained in WWE after this. So, it was essentially a unification match for all intents and purposes. You know, it's a traditional Cruiserweight match with a high-flying action, mixed in with some grounded stuff. Albert comes down, gets on the apron. Tajiri spits the red mist in his face. X-Pac gives a low blow to Tajiri and then the X Factor, and that gets the win for him to become a dual champion. Then we get Chris Jericho versus Rhyno. 3-star match here. Not a bad match, actually. They do this whole thing where the story is that Chris Jericho had never defeated Rhyno, and Rhyno's got Stephanie McMahon with him because of the history of Jericho and Stephanie. This is, you know, Jericho at one point comes off the top rope where Rhyno hits a half gore, which Jim Ross calls a go, which is kind of funny. Rhyno puts the walls of Jericho on Jericho in a nice little bit of story there. Trying to beat a guy of his own move is always good for psychology and storytelling because it's a form of you're trying to utterly humiliate the guy by making him lose to his own finishing move. Rhyno misses a gore in the corner. Jericho puts him in the walls of Jericho or the Lion Tamer because he puts the knee in the back of the neck, and Rhyno taps out, giving Jericho the win, putting the WWE up 2-1 here over the interpromotional matches. So then we get a ladder match for the WWE Hardcore Championship. Yes, a hardcore ladder match, if you will. Jeff Hardy versus Rob Van Dam, 4-star match. Some great ladder matches have taken place at SummerSlam. You know, and this is no exception. This is a very good ladder match. And it's not even a traditional hardcore match. It's a traditional ladder match just for the hardcore championship. The only weapon used in this match is the ladder. So it's a traditional ladder match, which is different than a traditional hardcore match.
Did call Nancy, did you?
So finish, Jeff Hardy's hanging on the rope, hanging on the thing, and then Van Dam goes for a spin kick at one point. He misses, but then Jeff drops down. Jeff's about to get the hardcore title. Van Dam pushes the ladder over, and Jeff hits his head on the ladder, and then RVD climbs the championship and gets the hardcore championship. Climbs the ladder and gets the title, excuse me. 4 stars. Good match. That makes it 2-2 in terms of the alliance. Send WWE. So then we get the worst match on here. A steel cage match for both the WWE Tag Team Championship and the WCW Tag Team Championship. Sheesh. 2 matches that have 2 titles on the line in them. This is how you know you have too many titles in your company. It's Undertaker and Kane, who are the WCW Tag Team Champions, who had defeated Sean O'Haire and Chuck Palumbo and utterly destroyed them, thus ending both their collective careers until Chuck started teaming with Billy Gunn. And they're taking on Diamond Dallas Page and Kanyon, who are the WWE Tag Team Champions, who had defeated the A.P.A. with the help of Test a couple weeks ago on Raw, or SmackDown, or some show. And quite frankly, for all intents and purposes, this is a squash. The offense Page and Kanyon gets in is so minimal that this is essentially a squash match. And the only reason Kanyon even gets out of the cage is so Undertaker can have him and Kane with Page by himself, and then Kanyon just walks to the back. So he already looks like an idiot. And this is the problem I have with the invasion angle as a whole. The Undertaker and Kane just battered DDP. And he was one of WCW's top stars, and he basically got treated like Undertaker and Kane's personal jobber. In fact, everything related to the Undertaker and DDP in WWE at this time is Diamond Dallas Page being the Undertaker's personal jobber. And so that comes into play a lot. So it's 1 star. Undertaker and Kane win, and then they got Chronic to be gone from WWE a month later when Undertaker said they didn't know how to work, even though Undertaker's at the majority of the problems in that match between him and Chronic, between Undertaker and Chronic at Unforgiven. So, yeah, this buried Diamond Dallas Page. He had already had 1 foot in the grave going into SummerSlam. This is putting the other foot in and putting him 6 feet under. So, 1 star. So then we get the WWE Championship match. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kurt Angle, 4.5 stars. Would be 5, but I disagree with the finish, even though I do understand why the finish happened. Okay? This is a very good match. Austin and Angle had some good matches, but this is their best one of the 3 they had. The 2 that were on pay-per-view, this one and Unforgiven, and then at the Raw about 8 days or so after Angle won the title or something. This is their best match, as I said, and Angle does a blade job that's got him wearing a proverbial crimson mask because there's blood pouring out down his face. And all that. Austin hits a referee Earl Hebner. Then Angle hits an Angle Slam, or it was before the Angle Slam or something like that. All I know is Austin eventually hit the referee Earl Hebner. Angle hit an Angle Slam that got a 2. Austin then hit a stunner or something. And Angle kicked out or something, and then Austin stuns Mike Chioda. And then Timmy White, he got the WWE title. Tim White comes in, and before he can do anything, Tim White gets hit with the WWF Championship, E-Championship, what have you. Then Nick Patrick comes in and disqualifies Stone Cold for excessive abuse of an official. Now, while this is a wishy-washy finish, it's a valid call in a way if you're thinking logically. Austin had hit, stunned, and hit a referee for a championship. So he attacked 3 officials for really no reason. Other than he was trying to get himself disqualified. So Nick Patrick gave him what he was trying to do. But any referee would have most likely disqualified Austin anyway. I think the only reason Austin wasn't DQ'd in the storyline is... I really think most of the time for the very early part of the invasion, they were basically making Earl Hebner be the quintessential WWF referee, in which if you're going against the WWF, he may not always do what's right or something. Or something like that. Especially since what happens at Unforgiven, which is pointed out to him, he doesn't do anything about. Because... and I might, if I ever review Unforgiven 2001, I might bring this up. At Unforgiven 2001, when Austin loses the championship, his right hand, is underneath the rope. It is touching the apron. That is an immediate rope break. So what Earl Hebner should have done when he saw this footage was not necessarily let Angle have the... when he saw this footage, he should have found a way to get an immediate rematch started of that match, instead of just letting Angle have the championship, or something like that. It's kind of weird, in a way, but anyway. It's a 4.5-star match, and then Angle hits the referee, Nick Patrick, and puts him in the ankle lock. Now, I understand why this finish happened. This finish happened so Austin and Angle would have a rematch in Angle's hometown of Pittsburgh the next day. The next month. Which Angle won.
Yeah.
Yes?
Okay.
Which Angle won. So, which is what I said should have happened then, especially since everything was also happening right after 9/11, so giving Angle the championship at Unforgiven was the right booking decision. Like, if I ever review Unforgiven 2001, I'll get into that. So then we get the WCW Championship match. By the way, that now takes the WWE up 4-2 in terms of interpromotional matches. And then there's the WCW Championship match. Booker T versus The Rock. And yes, this should have been the main event. This was Rock's first pay-per-view match back since WrestleMania that year. So yes, this should have been the main event of the show. It's a 2.5-star match. Shane interferes because taken out by Bradshaw. Finish comes when Booker T goes for a spin-a-rooney, and then Rock immediately catches him with the rock bottom for the win. And becomes the WCW champion. So essentially, the WWF won this night, WWE won this night 5-2. And that's the problem I have with the Invasion angle is you never perceived a threat from the Alliance. No matter how big they were in WWE, Vince was determined to bring these guys down. At least with Eric Bischoff in WCW, before he started adding a ton of people to the NWO, the NWO's 3 core members of Hogan, Hall, and Nash are always perceived as threats. And the NWO was always booked as a threat to WCW. Remember, and here's the biggest problem with the NWO angle, WCW never got its revenge, and the NWO never, ever really got comeuppance for anything. So, really, this is my problem with the Invasion angle as a whole. You never, that perceived threat, when you do an invasion of any kind, there has to be a perceived threat that the company that's being invaded is at risk of something. You never got that vibe, especially going into Survivor Series 2001, you never got the vibe that the WWF would ever go out of business. That the Alliance was never going to be a threat. So, that's why I don't like the Invasion angle. Now, from a ring quality standpoint, this is a very good show. Its total star rating is 22.5 out of 40. So it gets to the C, but it is not good enough to get into the B range. So, next video in this series is SummerSlam 2002, which is a show I have not seen. It is the only SummerSlam to this date that I have never seen. So, I look very forward to watching that. That'll be uploaded most likely Monday. This will be in the SummerSlam Review Series playlist. If you like the video, like button is down there, subscribe button is down there, and thank you for watching. Bye.